Johnny Depp and Amber Heard, this is never going to go away. It will seriously never go away. Johnny Depp and Amber Heard, I think they'll just have defamation
trials. I think you're the
trials.
only one who wants it to go away. You were happy to talk about the Will Smith, Chris slap, whatever for days. But this is the thing that I have been excited about. Mary's excited about it.
This has been going on for years.
I know, but it's finally reaching court. This is amazing.
This is court for a second time. They already had the Sun trial that
but not
I know it wasn't her. I know that he was at trial with.
That didn't have a very satisfying ending. So.
This is also more interesting.
This is more interesting. Also, well, I mean, maybe I'm not allowed an opinion because she's clearly, in my opinion, the bad person here, or the more bad. I see it as they were both awful for each other, like very, very bad for one another. But she's like, I love the inability, or like it's literally the bulwark of our system that's protecting her. Like it will not let her fail in any way. She's being protected from.
I think she is. I mean, I have high hopes
that she'll fail,
or that we'll get a more accurate picture of her character. Fail sounds like intense, but
well then okay. So I mean, does all the Daily Mail articles that show what her like rolling her eyes when told about what she did and admitting it on tape? If all that doesn't change the public's opinion, and you said it before, you think that in general the general consensus from the public is that they believe Johnny Depp.
Yeah, the court of public opinion is against her. And I don't think that Johnny Depp got a fair crack at clearing his name legally yet.
I don't know if there's a way that he went. Like, I mean, she didn't even name him in the article. That's the problem. She knew it would do this to him. Or I can't even prove that she knew it would do it to him. She hoped, probably, right, that this would do wonders for ruining his career. But we can't prove that that's what she wanted. That's
the point of the defamation trial, right? So defamation is a specific legal term that you went out about to intentionally harm someone's character, right? And so that's, to me, what's interesting about it becoming a defamation trial. Yes, there are all sorts of fun things that we may learn about these people afterwards or in the course of this trial, but getting a declaration of defamation, I mean, we've talked about it in other Me Too, cancel culture type cases. Like, if you're accused of something, successfully winning a defamation lawsuit is the only way to get it on record that the things that were brought against you actually have been proven to have been made from an act of malice.
And he can prove. I mean, I think there's definitely, like, remember, and none of us here are lawyers or anything like that.
I just play one on this podcast.
But like, there's definitely precedent to be said that he lost money being given the story we just covered about Fantastic Beasts. About someone thought it's a good idea to make an all-women Pirates of the Caribbean movie without him, because nobody in the world, you guys talk about me having like no strong opinions. Well, I know one thing for sure, and I know that nobody wants a Pirates of the Caribbean movie without Johnny Depp. I know that for sure.
He's had an incalculable loss to his career, and then also grounds for emotional damages.
So it says Heard's attorneys, meanwhile, it says Depp has sued Heard for $50 million, alleging that she devastated his career when she revived her allegations against him in the 2018 op-ed. That was at the Washington Post. It says Heard's attorneys, meanwhile, argued in their opening statement that her allegations were entirely true and that she has a First Amendment right to express her views. This is why I think that her not naming him was very calculating and clever on her part. That everyone knows who she's talking about, but you can't prove that that's what she meant. Her attorney, Ben Rotterborn, argued that Depp is seeking to ruin Heard's life by pursuing the lawsuit. For years, all Mr. Depp has wanted to do is humiliate Amber, to haunt her, to wreck her career, Rottenberg argued, calling Depp an obsessive ex-husband hell-bent on revenge. Let the mudslinging begin, basically. The trial is expected to last 6 weeks. 11 jurors will be asked.
There are murder trials that take less time than this. Isn't that crazy?
Sorting through a mountain of documentary evidence and conflicting testimony to decide who is telling the truth. Depp's attorney, Ben Chu and Camille Vasquez, noted that the Washington Post piece was published just before the release of Aquaman, in which Heard starred, and helped her portray herself as a sympathetic victim. Quote, she presented herself as the face of the Me Too movement, the virtuous representative of innocent women across the country and the world who have truly suffered abuse, Vasquez said. The evidence will show that was a lie. I think there's more than enough evidence to prove, at the very least, that she was bad to him as well. I don't know if there's evidence to prove that necessarily he did awful things. There's something about him supposedly violating her with like a bottle, but there's definitely evidence of her throwing a bottle and cutting up his hand.
Yeah.
There's definitely evidence of her.
They were saying extreme things, like he was dragging her around by her hair and beating her.
Not to get political, but
stuff.
you know what it makes me think about? Kavanaugh.
Yeah. So what I think is interesting about this is that, she is going, what I assume as my fake legal expert knowledge tells me, is that she is going to present this really extreme picture because she wants to create she needs to maximize the potential for any doubt among the jurors or the judge. And on the other hand, Depp's former partners, and I think he's been married once before, like they have all consistently testified to his character.
Yes.
Like he is not violent. He is, they have got, she has made these accusations on, she has exes that have
said she is violent.
She is violent.
Her ex-girlfriend,
and one of the clips that kind of resurface is them on a red carpet, and she raises her hand to like brush her hair back, and he flinches.
Yeah.
And so there is there is a chance that he is going to return fire and be like, no, like you are the one with the history, and I can prove it in all these ways.
Today they were having his older sister testify and talk about the abuse that they suffered from their mom. And I guess they brought that up to basically say he would be accustomed to an abusive relationship like this and easily fall into the role of the victim and not understand that it's
people abusive. Who have are have disordered attachment styles follow them. And in fact, people who have opposing attachment styles that can often lead to extreme conflict in a relationship are attracted to each other. So they might, it's like a perfect storm of these
had
personalities.
The same relationship modeled to him and his parents.
I want to read this quote. Beyond just the physical violence, it says, Miss Heard would often insult Mr. Depp, Miss Dombrowski said, recalling an instance where Dior wanted to hire Mr. Depp for an advertisement campaign. She, Miss Heard, said, Dior, why would Dior want to do business with you? You don't have style. She called him an old fat man. Like,
she seems, again, we don't know these people. She seems like a really nasty person. Yeah. And this has come up, like, people talk about working with her and it's difficult. Like, this is something that follows her throughout the industry. And I don't know that Johnny Depp has had the same reputation.
No. Does she have any witnesses to her character who say otherwise?
Who's coming to be one of her witnesses? Elon Musk.
Really?
Yes, because they used to date.
Yeah.
And you know what people are expecting to come out about this?
A kid.
If she had a child with surrogate in 2021, and there is a belief that Elon Musk is the father. This is interesting because this is amid his two children with Grimes. Yeah. So that is really like the bombshell I am hoping that we uncover out of all of this.
Yeah.
Because then I want to look into what is Elon Musk's deal with having children. Because I love children. I'm pro-family. But like he is expanding. He's outsourcing.
He wants
having
a
children.
dynasty for sure, like as many baby mamas as possible to
maximize his genetics.
Yeah,
that's like honestly what I think it is. So that is the one.
He's like, I don't have time to actually have the experience.
Well, he's not going to be fighting over that inheritance.
Yes,
it's going to be crazy. But he already has he has 5 surviving children with his first wife. Then he now has 2 with Grimes. It's possible he has another one. How many children has he fathered in the last 2 years? We actually have no idea.
Mr. Depp's sister told jurors she was, quote, devastated by the news that Mr. Depp would marry Miss Heard, and fearful that her brother's relationship would be mirroring that of their parents. If I'm honest, I debated going to the wedding, she said. I wanted to make sure that I showed up anyways because I wanted to make sure, honestly, that my little brother knew I was going to be there for him no matter what. Mr. Dombrowski is the first of an estimated 120 witnesses who will be called to testify in Virginia in the coming weeks, helping to sketch competing accounts of Mr. Depp and Miss Heard's relationship. I just asked, like, when it comes down to it, so if this is libel, they have to prove that his career suffered, right? That's what needs to be proved. Which they can't
super easily.
They can't prove that. Like, I don't.
How much was he going to make off of being in the Grindelwald, whatever?
Oh, I don't know.
How much do you pay an actor to be in it? 50 million, 100 million?
Not that much, but yeah,
10 million.
10 million, depending on if he's going to get back end profit, depending on how much money it makes.
So that's just one movie they can estimate the losses in.
Not to mention Pirates of the Caribbean
partnerships. Like they're mentioning that he was going to be in a Dior campaign. How many campaigns was he supposed to be a part of? Like I think it's actually pretty easy for someone who is this in demand publicly to calculate their losses, and then you give a really big estimate as to what like all of the other losses plus legal fees plus emotional damage.
Yep.
She has filed $100 million counterclaim. Like she just pulled that number out of air based on essentially
his was 50,
doubling
I'll
what
make
his-
mine
yeah.
100. I don't know if I couldn't find any proof as to whether she actually donated the money from their divorce. She said she was going to donate all of it to like UNICEF or something.
I doubt
Are people
it.
still talking about that?
No, but I was
I think
I was
we should-
curious.
Everyone just forgot.
No, but I think it's worth finding. Like she said publicly, I'm going to donate it to what, like domestic violence or
Yeah.
something. Did she do that? Did she follow up on her word?
I would
It all
also-
speaks to character.
And since I am here with women, I ask, because maybe perhaps it is not my place to ask, is she protected by the general female, the feminist consensus that goes through the media now? Is this what protects her, or is it because she's a celebrity? Is it because she's a female celebrity? Is it because of the domestic violence issue?
Well, I think
Is it because they have a
that-
harder time imagining a woman as abusive than they do a man, and because we've been conditioned to believe that only men are abusive to women?
Yeah. What I would say is that there was probably a portion of, feminism or the media or whatever that's going to stand behind her.
No matter what.
Yes, because she said she was a victim. You have to believe all victims. And I think that there are other people who will think, as the claims come out proving that certain things didn't happen, like her, it's not okay to present yourself as a domestic violence victim, especially when there are
Because
people who suffer.
it cheapens what happens
Yeah.
to actual victims.
The other
and-
part is that like our culture and our legal system doesn't recognize men as victims of domestic abuse
The
really
Duluth
as much
model.
as they should. Right. Like men are often it's hard because when men commit domestic violence, the physical damage is often much more devastating because of the size difference, but they can also be, like if Amber Heard slapped Johnny Depp during an argument, she is committing domestic violence,
Yes.
right?
And she did that and then basically told him to stop being a baby and quit complaining. I didn't punch you, I hit you. As if there's a difference. Like, that's insane.
There's a documentary, and I really should get the source before I publicly quote this, but some studies indicate that the highest rates of domestic violence are actually between same-sex lesbian couples, meaning women and women. And the idea is perhaps that like we don't teach women not to hit people.
Yeah.
We teach that to men, but we don't teach it to women.
That's like, people love those videos like of like people in public where like the woman's like basically like verbally abusing or physically abusing like a boyfriend, and then people are like ho ho ho, like they laugh at that, but like that dude is being literally degraded right in front of you, and he like society has told him that he can't do anything and he shouldn't hit her. But what do you do when one side has been emboldened and one side has not?
I think we also have come a long way as a society to recognize that like violence and abuse, or like abuse, comes in forms other than physical violence,
Yeah.
right? So
Yep.
like, yeah, if your wife like goes up to you and is like punching you in the chest, right? Like maybe that won't hurt you if you're bigger than her, but like it's normally not the only thing going on.
It sounds like what was going on in their relationship was mostly psychological torment from both sides, but probably skewed from her.
Yeah.
And like I said, without being there, and I err on the side of like, I wasn't there, I don't know. I can only know what they've confirmed or what they've admitted to in their depositions. But it seems like a couple that was just clearly bad for one another from the beginning.
Yeah.
Couple that with drug use, couple that with the intoxication of stardom and fame. I wonder if James Franco's going to testify. He was involved with her too, and he's persona non grata in Hollywood.
She's had a couple
Right
really
now.
high,
Yep.
highly influential and wealthy men, that she's been involved with. I would be curious. I know that Elon Musk is on the witness list, and that's again one of my pet interests. But I am really interested in this case. Again, I think it's in. Defamation is a really complicated thing to prove in the U.S. legal system, for better or for worse, right? Sometimes defamation protects freedom of the press. Sometimes it emboldens certain outlets to wield their influence to, take down other people who aren't able to fight them. In this case, I really do think that proving defamation is the only way to, even though the court of public opinion really has changed on Johnny Depp, getting a confirmation, having a settlement is really the only way for him to clear his name definitively and therefore work in the capacity that he has.
Yep.
It's difficult for movies to hire him knowing that that's lingering in the background.
The public generally sympathizing with him still doesn't give him back all of those years and all of that money.
Mm-hmm.
And I ask, okay, so then I want to know this: does this have larger implications for relations between the sexes in this country? For us as a people, are there, they call certain things landmark trials. I don't know if I'd call this landmark trial.
It could be,
but it could be if we're talking about you can't just go and slander someone. This is a thing on the internet. Like a lot of times they will sue just because they need to try to discourage people from just speaking on something without expecting to be reciprocated on, right? So does him winning or not winning say something about our society that maybe we currently don't have fully visualized yet?
What do you think?
I think if he wins, that would signal hopefully a change, that we see things as like it's not necessarily that only men are abused and only men are like, you should not be allowed to even just not talking about men and women, you should not be allowed the ability to just end someone's career based on specious allegations. But like I said, she was very crafty about the way that article was worded. I don't know if he wins this trial, but I would like to think that the general consensus that the public supports him shows that there's a lot of rational people that at least looked at what was coming out and didn't just immediately jump to man bad, woman good.
She definitely took the Me Too moment as her opportunity to spread this, because at that time it was dogmatic, believe all women in all cases. And if you said, well, sometimes the purported victims are lying, you were told, well, that happens in such a negligible amount of cases.
They say 1%.
That you better just shut up and believe them regardless.
Whereas we talked the other day, me and Mary warmed up for a show by discussing the death penalty, as normal everyday human beings are wont to do. And I came back to the idea of, I really do believe in Blackstone's formulation. But better that 10 guilty guilty people go free than one innocent person spend a day in jail. But in this case, this isn't about jail. This is about loss of income. So this is something. It's so different from that. But I don't know if there's really a guilty party per se, other than who lost money, right? I think both of them were probably guilty of being.
It could set a social precedent.
Yes.
That will make people wiser when they choose to speak up about something.
You'd hope that
you better not lie, because.
Was her op-ed in the Washington Post after they had reached their settlement? I remember they released. So
I don't believe so.
I think part of this trial is, and I'm sure everyone sees it on a micro level in their own community, right? Even if you're not friends with famous actors, you have people in your life who go through a breakup and there's a he said, she said afterwards, right?
Yeah.
And undoubtedly, these two people are not a good match and bring out the worst in one another, right? But, personally, it to me appears that in a lot of ways Amber Heard is the aggressor, right? And especially was courting public opinion. And as someone who is famous, public opinion actually makes or breaks your ability to make money.
Yep.
I think that this case is not going to upend change how we view divorce or relationships on its own, but I think it's sort of an indication of how our view of interpersonal dynamics are changing.
Yeah. Social precedent, like she said, I think that's important.
Yeah. I think that we really don't give enough attention to the way we, generally I'm very pro gender roles and, all that kind of stuff. But I think that when it's needed, we don't give enough credit to the ambiguity of relationships.
Yes.
Yeah. We're coming to a point of reckoning with the extreme stances that were enforced from Me Too, where it has to be one clear-cut victim and a clear-cut perpetrator, when in reality that's just not always the case.
And
that's the infantilization of our of the way we raise people now, to believe that every story is some type of heroic good and bad, or good and evil, and the world is not so black and white.
Yeah.
The world is very gray.
I honestly think that in some ways, Johnny Depp fighting this and being like, no, I'm not gonna settle, and you I need a judgment on this. Like, maybe it's personal vindication, but I also think it's an indication to a lot of people that, like, this is the only necessary step. Like, when allegations are made against you like this, you have to push back and, like, say why what's going on is wrong.
Yeah. Stand up.
Which is, like, it's very difficult to do. And again, not everyone has the legal reasonces that Johnny Depp has to do it.
Well, some people were worried that the judge, Penny, I believe it's Ascaret, would be biased against him, but it seems like she's actually got a pretty fair view of it.
Do they have a reason for that?
I don't know. Maybe past decisions she's made, but I read in this tweet, it says a reminder that Judge Penny Ascaret has denied Amber Heard's 3 attempts to dismiss Johnny's defamation case, as she said that Johnny Depp did not get a fair trial in the UK when he had his first case with The Sun.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we will see where it goes. That's I definitely think that it's you guys like it, covering it. I think, like, I guess for me, part of it's also like the social implications are so tough to unravel in lieu of just following what's being said. Like, we didn't talk almost at all. We covered it. I guess we covered about what his sister said.
We gave a nice summary. If we come back to this, there'll be more to say as we get smaller developments that you can sort of digest.
Yeah, for right now, I think it's just going to be very big.
I think it's worth talking about, though, especially, like, the point of conversation is not to, like, present your thesis and defend it all the time.
Yes.
Like, in this case, like, getting to explore, like, where do we stand on these issues and what does it look like from someone else's perspective? Like, that's why this is worth discussing.
Just have the conversation, and that's what I love about my job, to be completely honest. Thanks for watching this clip, guys. If you want to see full episodes or follow us on social media, links are in the description below. Bye.
Bye.